Honourable Speaker, Honourable Chairperson, Honourable President, Honourable Members, fellow South Africans. I would like to join in expressing my sincere sympathy to the victims of this crisis, and I certainly wish all of them the love and strength they need on this journey of healing. Honourable President, you said earlier that this storm, this devastating event, was due to climate change. Whilst that assumption may be true, the problem with it is that it creates a foundation of plausible deniability for officials. Officials can say that this was a one-off event and they had no way of knowing it was coming. The reality in KZN, colleagues, is different. If we turn back the pages of history, we will see that flooding is common in KZN. Between April 1856 and October 2017, on no less than 10 occasions in the same coastal area, we've had rainfall of between 250 to 400 millimeters in one day, causing widespread infrastructure damage. So the eThekwini municipality should have seen this coming and should have been prepared for it. It was bound to happen. And the eThekwini municipality was certainly warned. On the 10th of April, the South African Weather Service issued a level 2 warning of a cut-off low system. Now, for those of you who need a brush up in your geography from high school, as I did, a cut-off low, also known as a weatherman's woe, is a weather system that hovers over an area for a couple of days, a number of days, and just dumps everything that's in it on that region without respite. A day later, 11 April, South African Weather Services upgraded the level to a level 8, and later that day made it a level 9. The warnings were dire. Widespread flooding of roads and settlements, loss of life, infrastructure damage, displacement of communities, widespread mudslides and rockfalls, widespread and prolonged disruption of municipal services. The South African Weather Service got it exactly right. But did the eThekwini municipality take the time to warn its residents of this? Now, this municipality always touts its Facebook as a reliable source of information. It is a wide network. It has over 430,000 followers, a perfect conduit for information and warnings. But if you go and analyze that page, as I have, for the time period of 10 to 12 April, you will find the following: notifications of normal power outings, notifications relating to the submission of budget proposals, a caution to stop littering to prevent train damage, a bit late, an Eskom load shedding notice, but there was no disaster weather warning alert. But despite this fact, Mario Kawunda, on the 12th of April, conducted a media briefing. And he said in that media briefing that as soon as they were warned by South African Weather Service, they posted it. That is completely and utterly false. It's proven. They did not do it. They did not give the residents of eThekwini any warning of the level 9 threats that were coming their way. Now, in my area, people died in their homes. I wonder how many people could have been saved if they were told that one of the worst storms in a generation was coming their way, if they'd evacuated their homes. So if we look at the response, we know there was no warning. If we look at the response, what was that like? Now, the disaster management plan in eThekwini, there actually is one, says that you're supposed to try and mitigate loss rather than try and prevent it. Well, it emphasizes both. This is the first failure. Nothing could be done to stop the storm, but certainly a lot could be done to mitigate it. There was no capacity for evacuations. In the critical hours between 10 and 12 April, when the Isopingo Basin flooded again for the umpteenth time, there was not one helicopter to help people. There was not one helicopter to help people be evacuated. That was arranged by private citizens in their boats and their vehicles, and it was coordinated by a DA ward councillor. It's the truth. It's the truth. I'm sorry it hurts. In Otongati, one of our senior public reps, a ward councillor, threw herself into the Otongati River to try and save people in the absence of search and rescue efforts. In terms of water, the already failing infrastructure has been decimated. Here's the situation. eThekwini has got 105 water tankers. That's what their fleet says. In reality, there are only 75 of them that work. This is a city with 4 million residents. 4 million residents with 75 tankers. That's 16,000 litres for every 53,000 people. It's absolutely and utterly impossible to handle that situation. Now, I don't want to get involved in Tankergate, but the reality is that I have a WhatsApp from the Premier to the provincial leader of the DA saying that I've never contacted Councillor Pullen. I don't even have his number. And what I will say is it's interesting that the residents of eThekwini now refer to tankers as zikalalas. In conclusion, Mr. President, this was a disaster that should have been foreseen and adequately prepared for. Despite the best efforts of technicians, search and rescue, emergency responders, and councillors, the administration has failed to mitigate the disaster. For the umpteenth time, Mr. President, people have been left to fend for themselves. Mr. President, to conclude, there are three types of people in this world when it comes to decision making. Those who make things happen, those who watch things happen, and those who wonder what happened. In this case, like the cut-off low, the ANC-led administration in Durban stayed stationary for days while this disaster played out, watching and wondering what was happening. Mr. President, the ad hoc committee will be on the ground in KZN. We will watch every cent spent. And let's start with the fact that initial estimates were 950 billion. Now they've been revised to 17 billion. We'll start there.
Time is up.
Okay. Mr. President, decisive action is required from you to address these issues. If you do not, Mr. President, the people of this country will rise up and take action into their own hands. Mr. President, we pray that you will heed this warning. I thank you.